How to get rich in 90 days, applying Napoleon Hill's forgotten method. What if I told you there's a method, tested for nearly a century, that could completely change your financial life in just 90 days? Not a get-rich-quick trick, not another manifest money gimmick, but a forgotten system used by people who built real, lasting wealth. Napoleon Hill discovered it while interviewing the greatest minds of his time, and most people today have no idea how powerful it still is. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people aren't broke because they don't work hard. They're broke because they've built the wrong habits around money. Habits of fear, scarcity, distraction, and self-sabotage. The 90-day method you're about to learn breaks those patterns from the inside out. It rewires the way you think, decide, and act with money until wealth becomes the natural result of who you are, not just something you chase. This isn't a lecture, it's a roadmap. You'll learn how to reset your financial identity, shift from survival mode to creation mode, and apply the same daily discipline that built empires long before social media and hustle culture existed. If you've ever felt stuck, tired of living paycheck to paycheck, or scared you'll never make it, this next half hour might become the turning point of your financial life. Because in 90 days, you won't just have more money, you'll have more control, more peace, and a new relationship with your worth. The question isn't whether the method works. The question is whether you'll finally decide to use it. The hidden reason you're still broke. Before we talk about getting rich, we need to confront a brutal reality. Money doesn't change who you are. It exposes who you've trained yourself to be. Most people don't stay broke because they lack intelligence or opportunity. They stay broke because they never learned how to think like someone who creates wealth. They were taught how to earn, how to spend, but not how to direct money with intention. Napoleon Hill discovered that every self-made millionaire shared one specific trait long before the first dollar appeared: a clear and obsessive sense of purpose. They didn't wish for success, they demanded it from life. Yet most of us drift, chasing quick wins, new hacks, or temporary motivation, while our attention, time, and income slip through the cracks of inconsistency. If you've ever wondered why your paycheck disappears before the end of the month, why every raise still feels like not enough, or why discipline seems to vanish after a week, it's not a lack of effort, it's a lack of alignment. You can't outwork confusion. The mind that lives in scarcity will sabotage every attempt to grow. That's why the first step of this 90-day transformation isn't about budgets or investments, it's about identity. The truth is, wealth doesn't start in your wallet. It starts in your language, your thoughts, and your habits. For the next 90 days, you're not just learning how to make money, you're learning how to become the kind of person who naturally attracts, multiplies, and protects it. Because once your mindset upgrades, your results have no choice but to follow. The 90-day reset, reprogramming your financial identity. For the next 3 months, you're not just following a challenge, you're running an experiment on yourself. Napoleon Hill called it a definite chief aim, a single written declaration of purpose so specific and emotionally charged that your subconscious has no option but to obey. This is the foundation of the 90-day method. Here's how it works. You define one financial goal so clear it burns in your mind. Maybe paying off debt, building your first emergency fund, or earning your first $10,000 outside your job. Then, twice a day, morning and night, you speak it aloud with conviction. Not as a wish, but as a command. You say it until your brain starts to believe it, until your actions naturally align with it. It sounds simple, but the simplicity is what makes it powerful. Because most people live in constant mental noise, scrolling, reacting, doubting, comparing. The 90-day method cuts through that chaos and forces you to focus your energy like a laser. Within a few weeks, you begin to notice your language changing. You stop saying, "I can't afford it," and start asking, how can I make it happen? You stop waiting for the perfect time and start creating it. This is the psychological reset that separates dreamers from doers. When you repeat your goal daily with emotion, your brain begins rewiring pathways of belief. You stop operating from fear and start acting from certainty. By day 30, you'll realize money doesn't follow talent. It follows clarity, consistency, and courage. But here's the catch. Clarity alone isn't enough. The next phase is where most people fail, and it's also where true wealth begins. The wall. Why most people quit before day 30. Around the third week, something strange happens. The excitement fades. The vision starts to blur. The same people who began this journey inspired by change start to feel resistance creeping in. This is what Napoleon Hill called the testing period, the moment when the universe quietly asks, how bad do you really want this? Most quit here, not because the method stops working, but because their old identity starts fighting back. The brain craves comfort, even when comfort is what kept you broke. You'll hear that inner voice whisper, it's not working. You're wasting your time, or you've tried before. That voice isn't your enemy. It's proof that transformation is happening. The mind resists whatever threatens the status quo. Here's the truth. The 90-day method is less about money and more about emotional endurance. By day 30, your results haven't appeared yet, but your habits are forming. Every morning you declare your purpose, every night you review your progress, and in between, you fight the invisible war between the person you've been and the one you're becoming. The purpose of this phase isn't comfort, it's recalibration. If you push through the wall, if you act with discipline when motivation dies, you'll discover what few ever experience: self-respect built on consistency, because at that point, you're no longer chasing success, you're embodying it. The difference between the 1% who make it and the 99% who don't isn't talent or timing, it's persistence when no one's watching. The turning point. When discipline becomes power. By day 45, something begins to shift. You no longer need to force yourself to repeat your purpose. It starts to feel natural, almost automatic. The resistance that once drained your energy becomes fuel. The brain, once skeptical, now searches for evidence to prove your new identity right. You stop doubting whether the method works and start noticing how you've changed. Napoleon Hill described this as the point when the mind harmonizes with your desire. In simple terms, your habits, thoughts, and emotions start marching in the same direction. You begin catching yourself making smarter financial choices without overthinking, saying no to impulse spending, finishing what you start, and investing time instead of wasting it. The outer world hasn't fully caught up yet, but the inner world is reorganizing itself to match your intention. This is where momentum builds. Every small win multiplies your confidence. Every day you stay consistent. You strengthen the muscle that most people never train, self-command. And once you can command yourself, you can command your results. Because money doesn't respond to desperation, it responds to direction. The turning point isn't dramatic, it's subtle. But when it hits, you'll feel it, that quiet certainty replacing anxiety. That moment when you realize you don't chase opportunities anymore, they start noticing you. This is when the 90-day method shifts from a routine into a way of being. But to lock in that transformation, you'll need one final ingredient. The same one that separated every self-made millionaire Hill ever studied. The invisible ingredient. Faith in action. Every great wealth story, every transformation Napoleon Hill documented, shared a single, invisible force. Faith in action. Not religious belief, but absolute conviction that your goal is already set in motion. Faith isn't waiting for proof. It's acting as if the result is inevitable. And that's exactly what most people never master. At this stage, logic won't help you grow further. You already know what to do. What matters now is whether you trust yourself enough to keep doing it when the results aren't visible. Faith is what bridges the gap between intention and manifestation. It's what makes you show up on the hard days, manage your money when no one's watching, and stay focused when distractions promise quick pleasure over long-term gain. Hill used to say that faith is the only known antidote to failure. It converts fear into energy. When you act with faith, your mind stops negotiating with excuses. You stop asking, "Will this work?" and start asking, "What else can I do to make it work faster?" That question changes everything, because faith, combined with consistent action, creates momentum, and momentum creates wealth. You'll begin to notice synchronicities, the right person calling, the perfect idea arriving, the opportunity that suddenly feels aligned. That's not magic, that's awareness sharpened by focus. Faith tunes your perception to possibilities that were always there but hidden by doubt. This final stage isn't about believing in Napoleon Hill's method, it's about believing in your ability to embody it. Because when your thoughts, words, and actions align with purpose for 90 days straight, you no longer need to chase riches. You've become the kind of person who attracts them. The 90-day transformation, from scarcity to mastery. Somewhere between day 60 and day 90, you'll start to notice that what once felt like effort now feels like rhythm. The daily declarations, the tracking, the discipline, they stop being tasks and start becoming part of who you are. You begin moving differently, speaking differently, even thinking differently. Money no longer controls you. It responds to you. This is where the real magic of the method shows itself. You realize wealth was never about luck, education, or even opportunity. It was about alignment. Every decision you make now passes through a different filter. Does this bring me closer to my purpose or further away? That clarity saves you from distractions disguised as opportunities and from habits disguised as comfort. By day 90, the transformation is visible. Maybe you've increased your income, reduced debt, or built savings, but the deeper victory is internal. You've proven that you can follow through. You've built integrity with yourself. That's the rarest currency there is, because once you trust your own word, you become unstoppable. This is not the end of the method. It's the beginning of mastery. Napoleon Hill taught that persistence turns knowledge into power. You've done the hard part, fighting resistance, sustaining faith, holding focus. Now it's about refinement. Repeat the cycle with new goals. Expand your vision. The system never ends because growth never does. 90 days from now, you'll look back and realize the person who started this journey couldn't have imagined what you've become. And that's the real wealth, the peace of knowing you are no longer hoping for change, you are creating it, the legacy of the method. Wealth as a way of living. At the end of these 90 days, the question is no longer, how can I get rich? It becomes, how can I stay rich in mind, habits, and purpose? Because real wealth isn't just accumulation, it's awareness. It's the ability to direct your time, energy, and resources toward what truly matters. That's the core of Napoleon Hill's forgotten method. Prosperity built on purpose, not pressure. The wealthiest people Hill interviewed didn't measure success by what they owned, but by who they became in the process of creating it. They learned that every dollar is a reflection of a decision, every opportunity the result of preparation, and every setback a test of conviction. When you live by these principles, money stops being the goal and becomes a tool, a mirror reflecting your growth. Now you understand why Hill's method survived a century. It works because it changes people before it changes circumstances. You've trained your focus, rewired your beliefs, and rebuilt your relationship with money. The next step is to teach others, to lead by example, to embody discipline, gratitude, and purpose in a world obsessed with shortcuts. Wealth is no longer something you chase, it's something you cultivate. It expands as you do. Every choice from here on either feeds the person you used to be or strengthens the one you've become. Choose wisely, stay committed, and remember, the forgotten method of Napoleon Hill was never about money. It was about mastery. Now the path is yours. You've proven what's possible in 90 days. Imagine what a lifetime of this mindset could create. The proof is you. You began this journey searching for a method to get rich. What you found was a mirror. 90 days of repetition, focus, and faith didn't just transform your finances. They revealed what's always been inside you: discipline, clarity, and power. Napoleon Hill didn't invent wealth. He decoded it. He showed that riches follow those who think and act with purpose, and you've just proven that truth through your own persistence. Look at where you are now. You understand your spending habits, you command your attention, and you've built a daily system that keeps you aligned with abundance. You've broken the loop of scarcity and stepped into a state of control most people never experience. The real reward isn't just money, it's freedom. Freedom from panic. Freedom from the belief that your worth depends on your paycheck. Freedom from the fear that you'll never catch up. This 90-day method isn't a challenge to complete once. It's a framework for life. Whenever you face uncertainty, come back to the principles that got you here. Define your purpose, affirm it daily, act with discipline, and trust the process even when you can't see the outcome. Every new season of your life will demand a higher version of you, and now you know how to build it. You are the proof that the forgotten method still works, not because you believed in Napoleon Hill, but because you finally believed in yourself. The next 90 days are yours to shape. Make them count.